Recently, the Alternative for Deutschland, the far-right party in Germany, has gained significant popularity, particularly in East Germany. Liberals online have taken the opportunity to point to the AfD's popularity in East Germany in order to argue that the Socialist German Democratic Republic's claims of having denazified were clearly a lie, given that East Germans are now voting for the right-wing party that shares some similarities with the Nazis. Of course, there is one extremely inconvenient fact that all these liberals are ignoring, which is that when you actually look at who votes for these places by age, it tells a very different narrative. For example, in German state elections in places like Thuringia and Saxony-Anhalt, the AfD's strongest support have come from the youth. Meanwhile, about 40% of people over 60 in East Germany voted for Der Linke, the left-wing party in Germany, in these same elections. In other words, the people that actually lived in East Germany generally voted for the left-wing party. It is decidedly not, for the most part, former East Germans that are voting for the right-wing parties, but rather, like in much of the rest of Eastern Europe, their descendants, the people that never actually lived in the GDR, that are voting for the right-wing party. This is a phenomenon happening across Europe, where support for far-right parties is growing fastest among the youth. But nowhere has it occurred more successfully in East Germany. This is for several reasons. East Germany lags behind West Germany economically, and there is resentment for establishment politics in Germany among young East Germans, and the AfD has seized on this resentment. The AfD has also specifically been heavily targeting young voters on TikTok and by recruiting them into their youth wing, the Junge Alternative, and it's been very successful. In addition, and very much in contrary to claims made otherwise, East Germany had a far more extensive denazification than in the East. The Forward is the premier documenter of Nazi monuments around the world. They have scoured Europe for Nazi monuments, and a simple look at their map of Germany's Nazi monuments shows just how much more thoroughly East Germany denazified compared to West Germany. Of course, denazification in East Germany went far beyond simple statues as well. Some Nazis managed to fly under the radar and survived, and perhaps to some extent thrived in East Germany, but vastly contrary to West Germany, where numerous Nazis went on to extremely high, comfortable, and prestigious positions in government, the military, and business, practically every single person in any real position of power in the GDR was a resistance fighter, imprisoned, exiled during WW2, or at the very least, not on the Nazis' side. Almost no Nazis ever had any positions remotely close to real power in the GDR, and in the very few occasions that even a mid-level bureaucrat was discovered to be a Nazi, they were quickly taken out of power. This also hits back at the idea that young people are always politically progressive, which isn't necessarily true so much as they are anti-establishment, especially in times of economic crisis. It's also ironic that so many youths today, in places like Germany, don't look to parties like the Die Linke party, when in areas like abortion, worker rights, and LGBT rights. East Germany was actually ahead of West Germany in many ways. East Germany, for example, legalized gay rights before West Germany, and before its collapse, East Germany was even looking at legalizing rights for trans people. For more on this, I recommend my video on the history of LGBT rights in socialist states. But now, with East Germany reunited, and the communists of the GDR constantly demonized and reviled in the German education system, the right-wingers have been able to avoid associations with Nazism, while also seizing the opportunity to frame themselves as a new alternative, so-called. Ultimately, it is extremely dishonest for liberals to use the Alternative for Deutschland to pretend that the GDR didn't denazify, when the largest portion of the people that are voting for the right-wingers were either children or not even born when socialist East Germany collapsed, and the actual blame in fact lays at liberals' feet for failing to provide a better alternative to the people of East Germany than the liberal democracy that exists there now. Hopefully, the AfD will not win any major elections when the time comes, but if they do, the liberals will only have themselves to blame.